Cutting edge guests, awesome, uncensored, jaw-dropping information, plus funny memes, good deeds, and loads of laughter. Kind of have it all. Ladies and gentlemen, if your soul is awake, then welcome, because you're in the right place. Well, hey, good day to you, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Sovereign Soul Program, a show which stands for love, levity, and liberty, because after all, love is the most powerful force in the universe, and laughter is the best medicine, especially with the pain that we're feeling in the markets and the global financial system right now. So we do need to add a little bit of levity because we're covering some very serious topics today in this update over the next 25 minutes with my guest. This is an incredible show because, again, we're focusing on the liberty side of the equation. Gut punches and truth bombs are coming out over the next 25 minutes with my guest here, and it affects so many people's savings and portfolios and livelihoods. If you're tuning in, listen to my voice right now, watching us for the first time, I'm Brad Wozni, your host. My goal by sharing light in the dark corners of all aspects of the world and the current financial world in this episode is to stop any bleeding you're experiencing in your portfolio, your friends, your family, and potentially implement measures which could have you thriving. There's one asset class that allows not only survival, but thrival in the great financial reset and the greatest collapse ever in human history. You're about to see a chart over the next 5 to 10 minutes that my special guest is about to share with you and prove why that's possible, and also share with you in a head-to-head comparison study over the last 22 years, the number one asset class that earns an average 10% per year moving forward, because we're standing at the abyss of a global stock market collapse. It's happening right now. And since I majored in economics at university, I decided to bring on a real economist, a PhD economy, and he has a PhD of theology. So he's got the spiritual, he's all about the sovereign soul. His name is Dr. Kirk Elliott. And one of the many cool things about Dr. Kirk Elliott, you can see his smiling face here on the screen if you're joining us in video, is in his experience, he's not swayed by the majority's opinion on Wall Street. He's a hunter. He's a pack leader. He has that primal urge to dig up the best information, and he doesn't follow the sheep from the street. And we know that everybody that has keeps losing their asses every single recession and downturn, right? Well, as a matter of fact, he and his people are absolutely crushing it. He's the coolest economist I know, total down to earth soul. And unlike the bobbleheads on TV, Dr. Elliott has been there and done that over the last 3 decades, zigs while others are zagging. Dr. Elliott, my good man, welcome back to this program. Thank you for cramming this in your massively busy schedule right now.
Well, it's my pleasure, Brad. I mean, like you, we need to spread light in this dark world, right? I mean, we are going to have some truth bombs that come out, and it's not going to be pleasant for people, but we don't have to sensationalize the horribleness of the economy, right? People can feel it in their pocketbooks. They can just feel it, their intuition. Something's not right. But here's the thing. We don't have to settle for that, because no matter how bad things are getting, what I've learned over the last 27 years of being a wealth manager, there's always something that goes up when other things are going down, right? You just have to know where to look. And this is why I sound like a broken record all the time, because silver right now is the only thing in the world that actually is outperforming inflation, number one, but number two, it's a thing, right? And like what Elon Musk said about a month ago, is when he was asked in an interview, well, he's a smart guy, right? He's brilliant business guy. You don't have to agree with his politics or some of the putting chips in your brain stuff, but he's a good business guy. And he said, how do I protect things? Things go up with inflation, right? Like, what's a thing? Oil, gas at the pumps is a thing, cars, groceries, cereal, meat. Look at the price of everything on the shelves. It's going out of this world, which is actually why a lot of major grocery store chains in America are now hiring private security to guard their doors because people are going in to steal food.
Right.
I mean, wild, right? Burglars going after food.
Yep.
But this is all kind of to me, it's all physical manifestations of a spiritual reality, right? We're living in a dark world. There's people that are with this global great reset that they call it, right? All that is about people control. And I'm going to show some different quotes today from some globalist economists that actually will prove that. I don't want anybody to take my word for anything, right? Because I always like to back it up with facts. But we're living in some weird times, but you can have a smile on your face like Brad does, like I do, because there are things that we can do to protect and preserve and actually thrive during these times. And if we don't thrive during this transition, we're not going to have any money left when the page turns and there's a new brighter reality for all of us, right? So navigating through this transition is key to actually for the rest of your life financially. And that's what we're going to talk about, some of that today.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, just in the last 8-9 weeks, we've seen 3.5 billion now people moved off the fiat currency system and that oil-backed dollar and moved into gold. That is half the world's population now can no longer go to the normal stock market and trade. They have moved those systems off. We've seen countries in Western Europe from Spain, Poland, Germany. I believe France was the most recent one I've announced, Finland, that have said they're buying Russian gas and oil and natural gas too with rubles. So they're moving the rubles. And this is the first time ever in history, the US dollar that I recall has ever lost its paramount power and potency. And it's the Russian ruble that is now. So, you know, what else have you got to share? Or would you like me to go to the graph?
Well, let's just start with that graph, because I think what I talk about will actually just amplify that position. So, this graph, so if you look at this, I want you to look at the bottom one first, that green line. So this is, all of this represents 10-year spans, okay? Notice how every one of those lines, the green one, the white one, the yellow one, they all look almost exactly the same, right? So the green one represents the roaring 20s, you know, right before the big, huge stock market crash, which caused the Great Depression, right? So if you look at that from, you know, on the chart, it shows 2012 to 2018, but this is a 10-year span. So it's 1920 to about 1926, just kind of gradual growth up. And then it starts to go parabolic. But you'll see after on that chart on 2018, after about 6 years, there's a decline, right? This is the psychology of the markets. So things grow and then they grow a bunch. And then people say, ooh, it might be getting a little bit overheated. It corrects. And then there's usually stimulus money that comes in and then it explodes and the growth almost goes parabolic. And then you have a big collapse. So look at the yellow chart. That's 1990 to 2000. What happened in 2000? The big tech stock market blow off, right? So that represents the NASDAQ. Well, that's actually the S&P 500. The NASDAQ was even worse. That was an 80% correction. So what we're trying to compare here, though, is the big broad-based stock market indexes. So first 6 years, pretty slow growth, had a decline after 6 years, and then it grows parabolically. Look at the white one. The white one is current. That's the last 10 years. Again, first 6 years, just gradual growth, correction, and then it grows parabolic, right? These charts are almost exactly the same because markets act exactly the same. You have people that want to get in, they want to grow their portfolio, they invest in the stock market, it gets a little bit overheated and it corrects. And then one of the two primary motivators, we don't necessarily know which one it is, but people are motivated with their investments by two things, greed or fear. It's one of those two that then causes it to grow parabolic. But then the markets get overheated. They get exhausted. Too much stimulus money, too much debt. And then it just collapses. So in the Great Depression, the green line, it took people somewhere between 15 and 18 years to break even after that collapse. Okay. The yellow one, the tech stock bubble that came down 80%, that one took about 9 years to recover from that, just to break even. The white one, we haven't seen that correction in its fullness yet. But where are we today? So over the last 6 months, the NASDAQ is down 32%. Right? During the last 6 months, the Dow is down 21%. So you multiply that times two for a full 12 months. That means the NASDAQ, continuing on this trend, will lose over 64%. The Dow Jones down 30%. See, what a lot of economists have been predicting for the stock market is a 30 to 75% correction. Well, we're well on that way. So let's look at 2000, the NASDAQ. That one, when before that big 80% collapse, there was a 6 month span. The first 6 months of that collapse, it came down 21%. What have we seen the last 6 months in the NASDAQ? Down 32%. We're worse than that big collapse. The writing, it's not even, Brad, that the writing is on the wall. The writing was on the wall. We're now living it out, right?
The rug's been pulled up from under people's feet.
It has been. And so this chart shows an ominous picture about what's to come because market activity repeats itself, okay? So then let's talk a little bit about the reality of kind of where we are right now and what some of the big major economists, big bank leaders are saying.
Hey everybody, it's Brad here. Our show will continue in a moment real quick. If it resonates with you, drop a like, follow us, and subscribe to the show. Hear from cutting edge guests who are experts in their field, have a lot of laughs, and discover some powerful tips on how you can thrive through 2025 in this amazing golden era of humanity. So give us a like, drop a comment, follow us right now as we fight back on the war being waged on humanity right now. And by the way, if you feel so inclined, please do share this with 9 friends, family, and colleagues as well. I'm deeply honored you're listening to this. Thank you for doing so right now. For those many of you who have taken that step. And here we go, back to our show.
So just this morning, Jamie Dimon, CEO of JP Morgan Chase, here's his exact quote, okay? Mm-hmm. Brace yourself for an economic hurricane caused by the Fed and Ukraine war.
It's a hurricane. Right now it's kind of sunny. Things are doing fine. Everyone thinks the Fed can handle this. That hurricane is right out there down the road coming our way. We just don't know if it's a minor one or Superstorm Sandy or Sandy or Andrew or something like that. And it's you better brace yourself.
Okay, you don't use the words brace yourself. Mm-hmm. If it's just a little correction, right? They're expecting something big. Yeah. Also this morning, Janet Yellen, former chairman of the Fed.
Saw that.
She under Obama, right? She said, the Fed is doing its job to fight inflation, but I was wrong on calling it transitory. Yeah. Okay, because remember transitory was the big buzzword for a while. Oh, this inflation, it's just temporary, right? She said she was dead dog wrong. Yeah. Which means what? This is more semi-permanent to permanent inflation. Because what's causing the inflation is the unrelenting printing of dollars. Yeah. But you could stop the printing of money, right? And that would cause inflation to go away. Well, they're not going to do that. Why are they not going to do that? Because of what your wisdom said at the beginning of this show. The elimination of the petrodollar is huge. Yeah. Because that's the only reason the US dollar, when we're printing it like it's monopoly money, has any value or has any demand for it whatsoever, because all international oil settlements are traded in US dollars. That's what the petrodollar means. So when Russia started getting rid of the petrodollar, first nail in the coffin was with an agreement with India. The second one was an agreement with Poland. And now you listed off about 6 other countries, France and some other places that are now doing the same thing. Mm-hmm. The dollar, they are never going to come back to the petrodollar standard. Right. This is why I believe Janet Yellen said this. I was wrong when I said this was transitory. Mm-hmm. Getting rid of that means we've lost reserve currency status for probably the rest of time. Right. I don't think it's going to come back. Right. So they're saying this, but then they have to come up with a solution. Right. They're starting to identify a problem that we've been shouting from the rooftops for a long time. Mm-hmm. But now they have to come up with a solution or else they lose face. Right. So what's their stinking solution? About a month ago, Pippa Malmgren at the World Government Forum in Abu Dhabi basically tipped their hat. She's a globalist economist, their mouthpiece for economics, right? Very, I guess, strong pedigree type family in the economic world. She was the economic advisor to George W. Her dad was the economic advisor to Nixon. So it's not like they're couch potatoes, right? They're actually really good economists. They're just evil economists.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah. But I listen to them because I want to know the plans that they have for the rest of the world. And they're not lying about it. Mm-hmm. They're actually just bragging about it. So what she said was, it's upon us that we're going to have a change in the currency system. Not that it's years down the road, it's upon us. And that's a central bank digital currency. Right. So the way that they actually promote it to get everybody to buy into this kind of globalist juggernaut of loss of freedoms, because this has Big Brother written all over it, yes. Right? So what she said is, when you have a centralized cryptocurrency, which is a central bank digital currency, yep. It's blockchain technology, there's transparency, there's clarity of transactions, because they can identify the source of funds from transaction to transaction. It's a blockchain. Mm-hmm. So with that, they're saying, well, we can identify arms traffickers, human traffickers, drug traffickers, money laundering. What's the flip side of that coin? There's always a flip side of the coin. Mm-hmm. All of your and my transactions are going to be identified as well. Well, what if they don't like your religion? Shut you off.
Turn it off.
From donations to your church or synagogue or whatever, right? What if they don't like your politics? Mm-hmm. Okay, shut you off. What if they don't like it that you go to the gun store and buy ammunition? Well, you're not in it for world peace, Brad. Shut you off. What if they think that you eat foul food at Taco Bell every day and health premiums are going through the roof? They're going to say you're part of the problem, not part of the solution. Cut you off from. See, there's a problem with economic freedom and financial freedom with that. This is Big Brother. That's a horrible thing moving forward. So it's not just her that's saying it. Yesterday, the CEO of MasterCard, what did he say? He said within 5 years, the SWIFT system, which is all international bank wires, this is what the Biden's nuclear economic plan against Russia, he cut them off from the SWIFT system, so you couldn't get any international wires coming in or out. He thought that would destroy Russia economically. Didn't. Russia just went to China and said, hey, let's start up our new SWIFT system.
That's right.
And they're pulling country after country after country into it. He just de-dollarized the rest of the world forever because they're never coming back into the Western financial system. But what did the CEO of MasterCard say yesterday morning? Within 5 years, the SWIFT system is going to be replaced by central bank digital currency. So because it's blockchain, all transactions digital, everything's traceable. There's going to be clarity of transactions quoting exactly what Pippa Malmgren said. Boy, I'm not talking about silver right now as just the best investment in the world because its rate of growth is insane, over 40% over the last 17 months. I'm talking about preserving your financial freedom. And here's the thing about freedoms. We have like 5 major ones: political freedom, economic freedom, personal freedom, religious freedom, health freedom. They're all related. If you lose one of them, you lose all of them, Brad. And so what they're talking about is losing your financial freedom. We don't have to settle for that at all. We don't, because when you buy gold and silver, it's a dealer non-reportable transaction. You take delivery of it. It's a thing which will protect you against inflation, because why? When you invest in a thing, that thing is going to go up with inflation and you bought it, right? And it's liquid whenever you want to liquidate it, because here's the thing. Real estate is a thing. You know real estate very well. Well, most people finance it, right? Well, what if the banks run out of money? What if their capital's strapped? What if interest rates go sky high and people can't afford it? See, even that thing will go up with inflation, but it's not liquid because nobody might buy it. See, the thing, so real estate does go up with inflation. As long as you hold on to it, you're just fine. If you want to lock it in for a profit, you might have a really hard time depending on where the economy is.
That's right.
The thing with gold and silver, it's not a debt-based purchase. It's a cash-based purchase, either in an IRA where you just wire the funds, you buy it, there's no debt, there's no leverage. And when you want to liquidate it, it's a 45-second phone call. You lock it in, wire you the funds, right? So this is why I sound like a broken record talking about gold and silver, but primarily silver right now as the safest asset in the world with the highest rate of growth, but yet it's also something that preserves your freedoms because of the nature of what it is.
Yeah, definitely. And, I've our last call that we did, I had just come back from a 4-day wealth mastery retreat. There were a couple of billionaires in there, and Tony Robbins had actually spoken as well. And he said, listen, in this market, if you lose 50% of your portfolio, it takes 100% to make that back. You mentioned back in the time in the Great Depression, it's 17, 18 years. And right now we have people that are being completely unplugged from the system. We saw it in Canada, the Freedom Convoy. They were actually shutting down people's bank accounts because they didn't agree for the bouncing castle revolution in Ottawa. So the key thing is that our last conversation, I had friends, family contacting me, from my buddy in Croatia. He's on a yacht all the way through to Canada and the States and jumping on to talk to your firm. And by the way, there's a number up there right now, 303-309-2490, because Kirk's in Denver, great Colorado individual here, and a huge firm of roughly 35 people on track for that right now. So the key thing is, we talked about the balance of the trades. I just want to go back to that for a few moments of, hey, you've got a teeter-totter in the market, like when interest rates go up, bonds go down. So if you're a financial advisor, if you're listening to this, by the way, or you're watching this right now, you saw that chart that Kirk put together and presented as an economist and a wealth advisor. Why hasn't your financial advisor called you right now to move you into something that is a tangible commodity that has the highest rate and impact of stratospheric growth in markets like these historically? And this is the market maker that we're never going back to this US currency system ever. It's been decided and everybody's shouting it from the rooftops. So yeah, Dr. Elliott, go ahead. I know you like nodding your head like, yeah, I've got a few things to add, so please do.
No, I mean, people don't realize how easy this is. And to answer that question, which is a rhetorical question, but why hasn't your advisor told you? Because they can't. They don't sell it, right? So there's a rule in the paper asset world, like your Goldman Sachs, your Merrill Lynch's, your Schwab's, right? Where those stockbrokers, if they try even recommend it, if they even say something about it, that, hey, you should go look at gold or silver. If they don't sell it, there's a rule called selling away. They will lose their jobs. I mean, I got faced with this back in 1994. I didn't care. I'll always do what's right for the client. So I left, right? I'm not, because I was a stockbroker back then. It's like, I've never so take this comment with a grain of salt. I'm going to always do what's best for the client, not what's best for the company. Right now, I'm always going to be loyal and honoring to the company. So when I couldn't do that out of what's best for the client, I just quit. Right. So most advisors won't do that because it's hard to find a job in today's world. It doesn't mean they're evil. It doesn't mean they're stupid. It just means human nature is, I got to keep my job. Right. So this is why you're not hearing from your advisors to buy gold or silver. And what their compliance officers are telling them is gold and silver is risky. It's a very volatile thing. You should actually, if you want to do gold and silver, buy ETFs. Well, wait a second. I just thought you said gold and silver was risky, but yet you're still saying, oh, I can do it for you, a paper version. Right. Garbage. Paper versions of gold and silver are not the same. I can tell you why.
Everybody, it's Brad here. Our show will continue in a moment real quick. If it resonates with you, drop a like, follow us, and subscribe to the show. Hear from cutting edge guests who are experts in their field, have a lot of laughs, and discover some powerful tips on how you can thrive through 2025 in this amazing golden era of humanity. So give us a like, drop a comment, follow us right now as we fight back on the war being waged on humanity right now. And by the way, if you feel so inclined, please do share this with 9 friends, family, and colleagues as well. I'm deeply honored you're listening to this. Thank you for doing so right now. For those many of you who have taken that step. And here we go, back to our show.
So like the silver ETF, SLV, okay, couple years, so I think it was last year, it used to be by Barclays was the underwriter of it. They sold it to BlackRock. So the SLV ETF, silver ETF, is now owned by BlackRock. HSBC, the bank, used to be the custodian of the metals that actually supposedly backed the silver ETF. Well, they got rid of them too, and they picked JP Morgan Chase. Well, oddly enough, in 2020, JP Morgan Chase got slapped with a $900 million fine for lying about the number of ounces that they had in custodianship. Why would BlackRock pick the company that got caught with their hand in the cookie jar and lied about it? It's because they're all liars, right? So I don't believe that the silver that is supposedly on hand for a silver ETF is actually there.
Right.
Because, I mean, I can't prove it, but JP Morgan got slapped with a $900 million fine for lying about it. Did they just change overnight? It's like, oh, we're going to be honest all of a sudden? No. $900 million to them is chump change, right? So they got a slap on the hand. So if you want safety, you have to invest in the physical metal.
Correct.
Because it responds to different dynamics. Paper can be manipulated. Inventory can't be, right? So when you have low supply, high demand, depositories are running out of physical silver, there will be a decoupling of the price of physical silver to the spot price. That's why physical silver, physical gold is so much more safe than actually the paper versions of it, which is not metals at all. It's another piece of paper, right? So this is why we need to act with wisdom, act with discernment, not listen to mainstream media, which is lying about this.
Right.
I mean, consumer confidence right now is waning. This is the weirdest stat I think I've seen all week, because even during COVID, the mainstream media narrative was Biden's economy is doing good. We're paying people to stay home. People are still going to be able to spend, right? Garbage. They're paying people to stay home. But for some reason, people equated that with, I can get a job when this is all over. Brandon has it under control, right? Well, he doesn't. And now for the first time in over 2 years, consumer confidence is coming down, meaning people don't think they're going to have a job. So when consumer confidence starts to wane, when people start to lose confidence, I'm not talking about your viewers. We lost confidence in the government a long time ago, right? But most of America still kind of thinks the government can kind of fix this through policy and through interest rates, and they'll be able to control inflation, because that's what you see on CNN and Fox News and everything else, right? But they can't fix it. Even helicopter Ben Bernanke, right? The former chairman of the Fed is now attacking the Fed, saying too little, too late. If they wanted to attack inflation with interest rates, they should have done it when interest rates were like at 2%. not waiting until it's at 8.3%. They don't think it can be fixed right now. Some of the big billionaire hedge fund managers like Barry Adelson, brilliant guy, they make their money by selling stocks, right? He said, I'm pulling out altogether. We're going to sit in cash, which that's stupid, by the way, because cash gets you zero and inflation's 25%. That's a for sure way to lose 25% a year. But what they're saying is we're getting out of the markets, right? So they don't think that the markets are going to go well. So what a lot of these billionaire hedge fund managers are saying, which we should listen to them, is this can't be fixed with policy. The only way that inflation at this point is what a lot of them are starting to say is we just have to let the market collapse. Yeah. The stock market collapsing will by default take care of inflation. Is this what they're going to do? Are they just going to let it collapse because they don't want to lose face and say, it's the markets. People just lost confidence in the stock market. It's not because of our dumb policies, right? So I believe that they're just going to let the markets collapse, but not until after the election. I think they're going to keep this thing floating until the election because, again, like what Bill Clinton said, it's the economy, stupid. Yeah. Oh, wait a second. They can't fix the economy. They know it stinks. So therefore, change the narrative. What happened in Texas last week? The shooting. Now, all of a sudden, in a world where there's no guarantees, this is my guarantee, eyes are going to be pulled off the economy for a while and looking at gun rights. They're changing what people are interested in. I think this is why Prime Minister Trudeau in Canada yesterday outlawed all handguns. I mean, you know, Canada, it's like no transfer of weapons, no buying, no selling. If you do, we're going to consider you an arms trafficker and you're going to have to face the full assault of the law. Right. So here's the thing. And this is where the things that those economists are talking about central bank digital currency all starts to add together. If you were a private individual in Canada, wanted to sell a gun to a neighbor, you do it in cash. How could they track that? They can't. But what if you have central bank digital currency where all transactions are traced from transactions? At that point, you lose all your freedoms. You can't do that. You're going to jail, right? So when you have Big Brother overlooking everything, it's tough. Yeah. See, this is the world that they're creating. It's like George Orwell playing itself out right now. Yep. And this is where something like silver, that's a tangible asset that you take delivery of, you could use it in a barter situation if you want to, right? It fulfills more than one purpose than just an investment. And that's what I want to shout from the rooftops to everybody watching this podcast. Buy silver, buy as much as you can, because I truly think if there were anything else, Brad, that we could invest in, I would do it. Yeah. I mean, I can do stock. I can do anything that we want.
Stocks are toxic. Everything's toxic.
Everything's toxic.
Crypto go down. Now I even have crypto and have silver thanks to you guys and getting over there. And it's wonderful to have physical silver. You guys, as an advisory firm, also talk to people about 401k and IRA rollovers. I know that one of my good friends did so last week with you guys. You know, rolled her entire IRA over and without penalty, as I understand, which is just another phenomenal thing. So folks listening to this or watching us right now, the numbers there, 303-309-2490. Call that, goes right to Kirk's office to schedule an appointment. You've got a free consultation or something to that effect that we had mentioned in our last program that you do with people. You talk to them. And I know, and I've been on the calls with my partner where you've got somebody on their investment side, that investment advisor recommending that SLV and sharing with them, like, listen, this is supply and demand. Who knows if that paper note of an ETF that you own actually gives you title to that physical silver. And we've just seen nearly $1 billion fine to somebody that it's like nothing, pocket change to them, because they're price fixing the market, right? And we all know that that has continued to happen with the banksters. So 303-309-2490, give a call to Dr. Kirk Elliott's office right now, and they can set you up on a scheduled consultation. You'll definitely have some more questions and whatnot. So as we leave it, we're looking forward into the summer. Central business, CBDCs, they're definitely trying to rush them in right now to control people, to take away your money, take away your assets, take away more of the freedoms in the world. And one of the ways that you mentioned, the 5 types of freedom that we have, is that financial freedom, and moving it into silver. It's pegged to gold, and it's a suppressed precious metal right now. Dr. Kirk Elliott also has a report on that you can get and look it over with your spouse, your significant other, your family members. But definitely share this with people. Get the word out. 303-309-2490. This is the only way, in my personal opinion, that people are going to survive through this market collapse. They're just going to back away and let the market collapse in the next 6 months. And there's nothing you can do about that. So you can either take action, don't let fear hold you back, stay in the vibration of love and move forward. Dr. Kirk Elliott, just before you and I sign off, any other final comments for the fine folks here?
I just want to parrot what you said. I mean, literally, Brad, 99% of everybody that calls me, the moment they call, they are gripped with fear.
Mm-hmm.
Fear paralyzes people into inaction. And if you don't take action in these markets, you will sink with the ship. There's probably reason to be afraid, right? But by the end of the calls, when we ask them questions, when we find out what their dreams are, what their goals are, what they want to protect in their retirements, that fear starts to melt off of them. And we start to hear smiles on the phone, right? And that's going to affect their sleep. It's going to affect their health. It's going to affect their relationship. We need to change the energy from a negative energy to a positive energy, right? And impact the world around us. We can't do it if we're Eeyores. We can't do it if we're gripped by fear and we lose everything because we didn't act, because we thought, if I just put my head under the sand, under the rug, it'll go away. This one won't go away, right? So act. That's what I want to leave people with. Act. Take that leap of faith. I understand there's probably a leap of faith to call somebody that you've never talked to before because you saw me on TV with Brad, right? But that leap of faith, it's a free consultation. It's free. We'll understand what you're looking for, what you want to protect, and systematically put together a strategy to overcome these trends that will destroy your portfolio. And in fact, go into a trend where you can thrive. That's what I want to leave people with.
Amen to that. We are currently at 25% true inflation, adjusted for core CPI, and 40% more to create a goods now than we were 17 months ago. Folks, give them a shout, 303-309-2490. That's my gratitude to you, Dr. Kirk Elliott, for coming on short notice. Welcome back from your brief vacation. Thank you so much, and all the best to your teammate.
Thank you so much. See you, Brad.
Thanks for joining us on the program, ladies and gentlemen. Please like, follow, subscribe, share this with 9 friends and family. And of course, if you enjoy our blinged Buddha firing red pills from his 9mm, let us know.